welcome to the Y podcast.
where we discuss mindful learning in the virtual space.
So, my next question, you've definitely been touching on a few minutes, but I'll go ahead and ask in case there's any lingering thoughts that apply. What is the impact of pursuing innovation for teachers?
So much. I think the students are the ones that benefit, but I also think that one of the biggest issues in public education is teacher burnout. And I think that teachers are feeling like we talked about a lot, maybe disenfranchised, or they feel like they have so many rules around them that they don't have the creative space to implement how they want to implement. And so one of the big pieces about Elite that is so important to me, and I do believe with a 98% teacher satisfaction rate, it's important to acknowledge that teachers are I've had so many teachers tell me story upon story about how this school has reinvigorated their love for the field. And I think part of it is because we're blessed to work from home and have the flexibility to be at home. And then part of it is just this culture that we're creating where I value you as the individual, and we're not subscribing to one curriculum that was adopted. We are subscribing to creating a curriculum, whether it's curated by our wonderful staff, whether it's adopted, hundreds of them, where at the center is the student. And when a teacher is also able to loop with kids, another big thing that I love is this looping model, where a teacher of record, an SAI, for example, is you get a student on your caseload, and as long as the relationship is symbiotic, it's working for both of you, because personalities matter. Not every student and every teacher are going to be a good fit. So being okay moving kids around until you find your good fit. But what I love is that our staff is able to develop and get to know a family year over year. So one of the biggest challenges that many people face in the public ed system is every year you have a new set of kids. And when a new teacher is walking in, you spend the first 3 months getting to know the kid. Well, if you got to already know the student last year, and you know their family, you know their strengths, you know their struggles, you have their personalized learning plan done, you know their curriculum, what happens the first day of school? You hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ability for us to close achievement gaps is super important, but the ability for the teachers to be able to innovate, to be able to use their credentials and their degrees. Being a teacher is not an easy profession. You must graduate from your four-year university. Now you can get your four-year degree and your credential. Before, it wasn't that way. You had to always get your credential after, so there's this cool combo now. But most people pursue additional aspects. Most have their master's degree or administrative credentials if they're pursuing. So these are years and years of school. I went to school for 8 years to be in the position I'm in, out of high school. So it is using people at the staff's professional ability to begin to curate and design and innovate, remembering the students need to be at the focus, remembering, why you're innovating for them, and making sure the timing is right for the organization, for the innovation, which means also the student. Is the student ready for this? Or do I need to prepare them for this? Because I have this really cool idea, but if the student's not ready, you need to do those preemptive steps to get them ready so your innovation is successful. And does it work? Is it helping? And making sure that whatever you're doing is measured so that data drives good decisions. So without measuring what you're doing, it's really, you don't know whether it's working or not. It's very anecdotal, so very subjective. So having a very objective view and making sure that if a teacher is able to innovate, and give them the resources. But you guys come to me and you need resources. That was very important when I was leading, that I've carved out a way for you to get them. And making sure that you had space or time or some money to be able to make your innovative ideas happen. And if I couldn't do it then, I'd say, okay, I don't have the money now, but can you table this until October? And then we're going to revisit it so that this idea that you have. This is where so many of our creative ideas, Derek and Rihanna did the wonderful All School musical. That was this, you have your podcast. There's just so many examples of teachers leading the way at this school. And it's very important for leadership to be able to set aside and facilitate and let you try. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? You tried. So cool. You would never tell a student you wouldn't appreciate their efforts, even if it didn't work out. So the same goes for the adults in the room. Depreciate the efforts, give you the space to innovate, and push you. Like another job as an administrator, is to find those people who are often shy, and get to know them on a personal level and push them out of their comfort zone to lead.
I have to say, those going back to the Elite X games, I feel like that's what it did. I'm naturally kind of like the person who will hang back, but those games made a lot of the more strong personalities so uncomfortable that it kind of shut them down. And I felt like I found myself stepping up in a situation I wouldn't typically do, which was like a kind of an empowering, like, oh, noticing this about myself in that setting. So I don't know. And
And
then
there's so
also,
many students that are like you,
oh,
Morgan. So many students who are naturally not the raise their hand first type of student. And a
yeah.
teacher's job to be able to celebrate, even when they put something in the chat as a start, turn on their camera.
Mhm.
Those are big celebrations for some of our kids. And so same goes
Yeah.
for our staff.
Yeah. And I also love what you said about consciously like looping students with their TOR and their SAI or whoever. I agree with you. I think that's a critical piece to the exponential learning because every student has so many little idiosyncrasies. It takes a while to figure a kid out and to start over every single year with a new teacher. I think a lot of time is lost. So I think that's a good point, and I like that you're consciously working on that.
Always. And I think it also
Yeah.
allows for parents to feel comfortable coming to you when there's concerns. And parents are a huge part of this journey. And I love that in the non-classroom based world, parents have a strong voice and choice to participate with the public teachers and allowing for us to curate and personalize and tailor make education. And when you have a healthy and positive relationship with your teacher of record or your SAI, and the parents will speak up, and it's important for the parents to know what's going on. If a parent's always silent, depending on their culture, some cultural differences would allow for a parent to be silent. But if a parent is silent, I would be going to them asking them questions. And it's encouraged here. Parents are sitting in the background half the time with our Zoom meetings. They're always participating in some way, shape, or form in our school. And I think that that's another big piece to non-classroom based worlds is the parents have a seat at the table consistently, and they do in the public school setting, the traditional setting too. But it's hard when you drop your kid off. But when you're at home and you're able to actually witness or be observant to the education and hear your teacher interactions and consistent interactions with students and hear it from multiple staff members, and you're seeing consistency across our organization, in terms of expectation and professionalism. Those are pieces that I believe every parent wants for their children, and having the accessibility and having a voice and having parents say and fill out their surveys, and we change as a result of our parents. No organization is perfect. There's always going to be room for growth, and we're going to make mistakes, no doubt. But letting a parent have the opportunity to be heard in a way where they're actually a big part of the process is who wins? The kid. And that's what it's all about.
Following up to in the push to pursue or pursuing innovation for teachers, what does it mean for students? You've given several examples, so if any additional thoughts in this area.
I believe that if you look at the CEOs in the room, right, in the traditional setting, and you hear the stories of CEOs, most didn't graduate college. Some even dropped out of high school. The traditional system isn't created for the people that color outside the lines. And most of our most innovative people, it's what I love about this country the most, is some of our most innovative people are running some of the largest companies in the world. And right now, our school system is not built for the innovative thinkers. And so I do think that when you bring in innovation and you allow for it to be messy and unstructured, and you're allowed to fail forward for the sake of students, you're going to see that all students benefit. You're not going to have such gray students or students that with their hoodie in the back and their earplugs in or checking out of everything. Now, teenagers are going to be teenagers, but the reality is a lot of these students are just disengaged because they just don't see the value in what they're doing. So when you allow for innovation into the school system and you actually personalize a learning journey, you meet the student where they're at And if you were to take a student who colored outside the lines and let them color outside the lines while learning algebra, they're going to absorb the content. If you're letting them design or create in our marketing class their own brand, the lessons they learn from that are huge. I remember when we first started the coaching, we were doing one of the elite initiatives with our students who were in the MTSS process. And we were just starting the modeling. And one of the students, they're supposed to be setting goals. This was Amy. And it was the courage journey we were piloting for our students in the SST process during the MTSS when it switched from SST to MTSS. This was a few years ago. And I'll never forget when a teacher said, the student was asked a question, and the student said, oh, I really want to get a skateboard. And the teacher's initial response was, well, what does skateboarding have to do with school? And my answer was everything. So it's so important that when a student comes with an idea, if you can imagine all of the work that would get involved if the student had a skateboard, how many standards could we cover in just having the conversation, planning to prepare, budgeting, what job you're going to get, interviewing, and then finally getting the skateboard would be a way to foster that amazing relationship with that student that no matter what you were doing with them would allow for them to learn. And so it is retraining us too, because we were taught oftentimes in a system that wants you to connect everything to that standard. I flip it, to let the students have the innovative idea and then curate all the learning around how we can make that idea come to life, because that's those kids need something different to stay engaged in school. And we have the technology and the resources, not only at Elite, but now everywhere, to allow for that to happen. It's just a culture shift. It's not easy.
One example that you referenced earlier that this puts me in mind of is Derek's musical, right?
Mhm.
And like, look at there's two versions of that. There's Derek writes a musical, does audition, kid gets a part, learns his part, performs, and end of musical. That musical was written by those students. That's Derek, but that's also a little bit of Elite X, right? Let's put it in the hands of the students and see what happens. They wrote this incredible musical. It was amazing. Everybody enjoyed it. But the thing that I noticed was all the students, many of the students, not all the students, but many of the students came back to that idea. This was mine. We wrote this. I can't believe Mr. Derek let us write this. Like, we wrote this. That's from I rehearsed my lines, memorized my lines. Maybe they remember that in 10 years to like a lifetime. I created something and it was put out there for the world. That's a huge difference, right?
And the skills.
Yeah.
Think about the tools and do you think I imagine that process?
Mhm.
I could imagine some gray hairs.
Oh yeah, the facilitation that they would have had
Right?
to
I'm
like
sure it was messy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
They're all different age levels and trying
Yeah.
to corral them and they're
Yeah.
creatives, right? So I can imagine
Yeah.
the process probably, as they were trying it for the first time, had a
Mhm.
lot of struggle, a lot of
Yeah.
productive struggle.
I mean,
Um,
just the sheer number of people collaborating on that
uh-huh.
project would
And
be
the age
challenging.
difference. You had like a
Yeah.
6-year-old versus a high
Yeah.
school student. They need
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
And but that space, the
Mhm.
allowing students to own it, and the same goes for the adults. So I guess what Elite X has done is put the adults as the students and given them the power and the autonomy and the grace to say, how should we teach kids different? And being okay with trying new things and then failing and then trying again until we find a whole bunch of things that work.
Yeah. All right, so get out the crystal ball. Elite, 10 years from today. What do you think it looks like? What's happening?
I think if Elite continues on this trajectory, it's going to be at the forefront of all public schools. In my heart, I believe that the more you empower your educators and keep your standards high, I think sometimes as educators, we often have that empathetic, loving heart. And when we see a child enter our school with a life that's much more challenging than any child deserves, we oftentimes lower our standards because they've had it really hard. And I've worked really a long time with educators at keeping the standards here, but scaffolding and giving them the building blocks because in time, that student will eventually reach your standards. It just needs some more time. And I think that Elite the ability to personalize, the introduction of virtual reality, the culture in which we are pushing our own selves as educators to be better and learn, and continuing to learn, not because we are told to, but because we need to. And I think that that's something that's so special. This podcast is an example. Nobody told you you had to do a podcast. You guys just created this because you wanted to, you felt a need. And that's just another example of how empowering your staff leads to better gifts than you could ever be given. And I would never want to put my thumb down or stop the creative genius of this group. And I know Ashley is a leader that carries that same heart. And I see her continuing to allow this school to thrive and shine. And I challenge this school to continue challenging the way in which we teach children and making sure that as education is going to go through a revolution because we have to. And I think Elite is a model for how the system can work and how, while not perfect, we still have work to do. The ability to personalize, the ability to let teachers own it, the ability to bring parents in are all answers to many of the concerns we are facing in public education today.
With that said, Meghan, I do have a final question for you. What is your why? No context, just what is your why?
My why in everything that I'm doing is the student at heart. So even in my new adventure, in my new company, I do envision helping and leveling the playing fields for children that just haven't had the opportunity. And one thing I love about Elite is it's not based on zip code. We have single parents, we have parents at the in poverty line, we have second language learners. Every type of student is welcome in our environment if they choose to learn from home. And I wouldn't allow what I couldn't control to become a barrier to their success. And so my why is finding a way, no excuses, and believing in not only the student, but I look at, as an administrator for public ed for so many years, I look at the adults in the room as my students. And I find so much joy in hiring people that are so much better than me and being mentors to those around them, because one thing that makes Elite so special is the educators in the room. When we get together, it is magical. I've never been in a space where there's so many people of like mind, but yet so different. And all there for the right reason for the student. And so I know a lot of people say students, but I've walked the walk and proven that what I do as a student is truly at the heart of all that I do. And those students include my own children. So my why is to be a good mom to them. A lot of what I've learned at Elite, and I've grown up, I feel like, in this school as a mother, and some of the lessons that this school has taught me has translated to my own children. And so I truly feel that as a human, I want to leave this world and earth knowing I've done my very best to do and make a positive impact. And through that journey, I will continue to step one foot at a time and work hard and fail forward and be innovative, because our children deserve nothing less.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Meghan. It truly has been an honor to spend this time with you. Thank you.
I have loved every minute. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate you. And this is such a wonderful team. Special Education is so lucky to have you, and keep doing wonderful work for those kids. And I know that they are benefiting so greatly because of your care and time and commitment to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Meghan.
Okay, we'll cut there. Okay.
In between
perfect.
cuts, I'm going to do something real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, that was wonderful,
That was-
Meghan. Thanks so much.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome. I had so much fun. I just spoke from the heart.
That was
Perfect.
you're so good at that.
Yeah, couldn't have been better.
No, it was
Well, thank you,
absolutely
guys.
perfect. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, I'm excited, and
So sorry about that. But
that's okay.
worries.
back, that was incredible.
It
That
was.
Yes.
yeah. I mean, just to see it from your perspective, like, I don't know, it's what Elite has done. That 14 points, like, it's still staggering. It
Yeah.
is absolutely staggering. I mean, I've been doing this, I don't know, 16 years now, and you never see that, a jump like that. You never see
And
that.
8 points in ELA and
Yeah.
closing achievement gaps in subgroups and bringing in VR. And it's not just that, it's tactical planning where each
Yeah.
group is really owning a part of their school and measuring goals and objectives. It's owning what we're not good at and saying we weren't really good at that. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
It's there's so many pieces to Elite that are so special, and the beauty of, I think, a sign of a good leader is just um, being able to see the system still shine whether I'm sitting in the seat or not. And
Yeah.
I don't think I ever would have stepped into a new role if I didn't feel that Elite wasn't prepared or ready and the staff wasn't ready to take that torch and let it carry on with them. And
I've said
I'll,
this before. Oh, sorry.
oh,
Oh, I've said this before, but I mean, I've told you this before, but you do so much to empower people and make people feel
Yeah.
comfortable to step out their comfort zones. But I was recently sharing with a buddy like elite success and like how far like they've come in that closing of achievement gaps. And the thing that I came back to in the conversation was the courage to invest, right? And you talked about it like that investing in professional development. It's so exciting to see someone's investment in something that is outside of the box be rewarded and proven, right? And you talked about it with intention, not just doing it for like doing it sake, not just doing it to be creative, but we have this issue that we want to address. We believe that this may hit at that issue and may improve our situation, and we're going to invest and get behind it. And then being like really like willing to cut bait if it's not working, like is important too. But it's just so satisfying to see someone like target a creative solution and see that see that work and in that investment paid off and reinforced. It's really cool.
and we weren't given any promises, right? So
No,
a lot of this, I
no,
mean, Elite X could have fallen flat, but it
no,
didn't. So part of that is just this, it's the willingness to try. And I think that
no,
is sometimes it's the courage to stand out on a limb and say, well, this is a big problem. I humbly don't have all the answers, but I think together we can find some really good solutions. And it's being okay to fail and
Yeah.
and
and
the
and letting your ego be a part of that. Like, oh, my ego's out of this game. Let's try for kids.
the teacher driven curriculum too that's come out of Elite X,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's incredible. And you see it, like you see it and you talk to parents who have not experienced curriculum like this before, and they're just, yeah, it's the scaffolding, especially as a special education teacher, like looking at the curriculum, I'm like, this gives so many of my students an opportunity to be in this and be a part of this within the normal general education process. It's
Yeah.
really, really cool.
And I
Yeah.
feel like, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead, Megan.
No, go ahead, Morgan.
I was just gonna say, no, it's very impressive and it's so courageous. And like just the fact that this school has like there was no template that you stepped into. Like everything was literally built from the ground up and created. It's just so impressive, I think. Like I'm impressed
Thank
with
you.
all that you've done here. Like it's
A lot of hard work, and I think I have my critics, but I also really truly feel that the merits and the results of this school speak for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I
absolutely
was going to say earlier that the transformative process that happened too, and I think I can speak for us three, and in Elite X was so much so that, I think it was mainly Nolan that was like, we can't keep this to ourselves. Like we have to keep it going. And that was really the premise for the three of us to be like, yeah, let's get this out. And so Morgan just kind of off the cuff said, let's do a podcast. And I was like, yep, all over it. Done. We got it. Let's go.
yeah.
So yeah, but
Yeah,
it really
DL is like
was
done and done.
done and done. But it really was our passion to share. Like this is too good to keep to ourselves, and we need to make sure that at least even in our department that they know how valuable it is, because Elite X cleared up so much space in the creative brain for the teacher, for myself to be like, oh, now I can think about something else. I can think about this, and I can think about a personalized history of cheerleading course for this student, something like that. So yeah.
And
Very
now we have
much.
tools that'll happen
Yeah.
in 10 minutes versus
Yeah.
like 80 hours.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a special time to be an educator. It's also a challenging time. And so I think, the educators at Elite have a leg up
Oh
because
yeah.
I
Yeah.
I really feel like we're not apologizing for where we're at, and we are accepting and embracing this time, and we're saying, we got this, and it's going to be hard,
Yeah.
but we're all in this together, and we're going to try. We're going to keep innovating, and we're going to keep trying because we have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So I'm
I love
honored.
that.
Well,
thank you
I'll
And
be
in
so
ready.
terms,
much.
Megan, real quick, in terms of your critics, like Reggie Jackson said, they don't boo nobodies. So
It's when you're bold enough to dare greatly. I really
Yeah.
feel like
exactly.
that. I have
Yeah,
chose a life less ordinary. Not
right.
everybody mortgages their home to start a school from nothing. Not everybody says, okay, I'm going to start an international company. It's just part of how I choose to live my path. And so I'm misunderstood at times, and that's going to be okay. It's
Yeah.
part of this journey, and that's part of the process. And ultimately, for me, I rest on the how I treat people. Did I leave a lasting impact? Are people better off because I stepped into this seat? And I can say at Elite, the answer is absolutely yes. I'm so honored to say that this school is exceptional, and it's continuing to challenge the status quo and continuing to find a way for every student to have a seat at the table. And that's a challenge. It's not easy, and we don't say, oh, it's just hold on, we'll get to that later. Oh no, all of our students have a personalized plan and are getting their education tailor made, and it's exciting.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I was going to piggyback on that concept. I think kids are able to thrive in this setting because they have emotional and intellectual safety. We talked a lot about that in Elite X, and they weren't finding that in school, like in seat-based school, and they're just given this like amazing opportunity to thrive, which is so important because yeah, nobody needs to be shut down because of their anxiety or whatever it is that it is kind of blocking their forward progress in school. So
And students need multiple adults in their life.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think one of the neat aspects of our school is I love that I took that high school teacher in the virtual academy and I split them into two people, one that is the teacher of record and one that is a content teacher. In the traditional high school realm, you're looking at 140 to 180 students on their caseload. And our content teachers have high caseloads.
Yeah.
But the teacher of record is responsible for helping foster that relationship. And really, their caseloads are low, and allowing for the teachers to be able to dive into a student to get to know the them so that this journey can be uniquely theirs. And I think that unfortunately, so many of our peers don't have time for that. And it's so hard to have time when you have 180 students and you're planning the lessons and you're delivering the lessons and you have a staff meeting and you have to inclusion for special education and you have second language learners, and the demands on our peers are just as high as ours. The difference is the way we're set up really allows for, and it's important, again, innovation. That was an idea. I had no idea if it will work. We tried it out and we continue to refine it year over year to make it better. But it's about doing things differently because we need to.
Yeah.
That's a really good example too, because it doesn't just it supports the student because they have their special person that's like locked in on what they're going to need to succeed and their go-to for whenever they're stumbling, whether it's technology, curriculum, whatever it is. But it also, like, a secondary effect is content teachers, without having to take on that role of like all the, kind of bureaucratic stuff. Every year I get 3 or 4 content teachers like, hey, I noticed this kid, like, what can I do to help? Like, they actually do have time to zero in on kids that might need an extra little, like, attention.
Not doing all the paperwork side, right? They're doing
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
responsible for the grading, and then they have a
yeah,
part. So that
yeah,
teacher of record role serves such a neat way, especially for special education teachers who oftentimes you become an extra thing, right? So if you look at took my as a sped director, I was a sped director for years, and I loved special education because IEPs work. We see the data all of the time. And so when done well, IEPs show progress. And so I was like, how do you, that personalizing works? And so, in our space, I really wanted to make sure that we had a lot of adults there to make it happen.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you. I know we've kept you a long
I
time
know.
asking all the questions.
I think
You got to go.
I'm late for a meeting. You guys
Okay.
are so fun. So I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Illuminate XR is my company. You're welcome to look at it. I will.
Exciting.
You have my email. You
Yes.
guys have my text. You have my cell phone. I am not a ghost. Call me anytime. I'm here to support you, and you guys will continue to shine and do amazing things. And I have all the faith in the world. Ashley is going to continue this mission and keep Elite such a wonderful place. She's been with me since really day one, so she knows me really well. I've been training her for years, and you guys are in awesome hands. So thank you for this. This was an honor. I really appreciate you all, and have a great rest of your summer. Have fun this week. I can't wait to see pictures. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. How do you
I
follow
mean,
that?
Yeah.
I, the one thing that keeps kind of coming back to me, I mean, this was an episode about innovation, and we learned so much from her about how the process was for developing innovation, fostering innovation, empowering teachers, leaders. But I keep coming back to how courageous is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's just so incredible. I mean, what she did to start this, what she went through, the responsibility she had to her family, but the call to build something special and new and to balance both of those things, I couldn't even imagine the
Yeah. The
stress that
risk.
she must have
The risk.
undergone.
Yeah.
The risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. The risk.
So it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I'm just so impressed by her courage. And I mean, she's obviously an incredibly intelligent, thoughtful, innovative person, but she's also incredibly brave.
Yeah. And when
So
she was
brave.
talking about sorry, Morgan, the teachers, that are in a room and they all, are so different and so caring and have the student at the center. And you hear that a lot, but even personally for me, walking into a room like for staff development, the first one, it's incredible. Like the feeling or the support for students and even for teachers for each other is palpable. It's incredible.
It's yeah, there's like so much love in the room anytime we're together as a staff, I feel. Uh, Everyone loves being part of Elite.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
it started in a garage and it's just mind blowing. Yeah.
I know. And she didn't know it would work. I think that's the thing I'm perseverating on after like Nolan said like how courageous she is, like to risk like your home, your family's home, like for something that you're pretty like confident will work, but you don't know,
Yeah.
and it's just been such like a success.
Yeah. It
And
has.
yeah, and it's changed so many students' lives for the better. So she's doing amazing
Definitely.
things.
Well, we have one last question for you, and that is, what is your why? Thank you for watching.